Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Memorial Day weekend. I hope it's nice where you are, because it's not going to be nice here. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks, Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I welcome in my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer and Michael Spink's biographer, Jack Hirsch. How are you, Jack?
Yeah, good. It's a Memorial Day weekend next weekend.
No, it's this weekend.
This weekend. Well, it's snuck up on me. It's usually the last weekend in May.
Well, it's the third Monday in May always. So.
I'm getting it mixed up with Labor Day and all those other holidays. Ignore me.
Guys like us when we're retired.
I'm off to a slow start. Like I fell behind 12-1, in this game.
I will tell you, it snuck up on me as well, because I wasn't so sure that it was going to help or happen this early. But when you retire, you lose track of these things. 3-day weekends don't matter that much. So anyway, every day's a 3-day weekend. We'll start off today with, and we got a lot to get to, but we want to mention, kind of put, all our weekend plans and the sports that we normally talk about in perspective. One of the great NASCAR drivers, and again, I fully admit I'm not a huge NASCAR fan. I know you're not, Jack, but I think we'd be remiss not to mention the passing of one of the greats in NASCAR today, and I don't know about all time. Somebody else can debate that, but he's 41 years old, leaves behind a young family, and out of the blue, Kyle Busch passes away. We don't know what happened to him. He was admitted for some severe illness the last few days, and it's kind of sad. He's very accomplished. I mean, I could run down his list. I'm not going to do it, but he's a NASCAR champion 3 times over, I think. Won pretty much every big race that you can win in NASCAR, and it's a shock to that world, and I think the sports world in general. Anytime somebody who's at the top of his craft and that young passes away, it's always a kind of a wake-up call to us, I think, don't you?
I'm not a NASCAR fan, Keith, but it was put even more in perspective to me when you turn to the national news at 6:30, and I happened to be watching yesterday's CBS. I alternate the channels, which I watch.
I'm a CBS.
And they started off on the national news with everything that's going on in the Middle East and here and there about Kyle Busch. That was the lead story, and that will put it in perspective how big it is. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a NASCAR fan, but at age 41, out of the clear blue, the biggest icon in his sport passing away like that. And you kind of wonder what the exact cause was. It's all going to come out, in due time, probably sooner rather than later. But it's a shock when someone that iconic, goes that suddenly from so-called natural causes.
Well, it is. I mean, natural causes, I guess, but when you're 41 years old, there's got to be an underlying factor, right? It's not. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. I don't mean obviously not old age. But, in any event, regardless of the reason, I mean, it's awful, and it's a major blow, to the sport. And our condolences go out to his 100%. Family, friends, and the racing community.
100%. It's it's funny when a guy that young goes. We always have this macabre kind of need to know why and what happened and all the details. But hopefully, I mean, we may never know. Who knows? Because some things just happen in life, and this is really one of those sad events. So hopefully, hopefully his family gets through this as well as they can. Always a tough time. So again, as Jack said, our thoughts and prayers to everybody involved there. And there's a lot of fans. I mean, fans take these things hard, right? I always go back. I'm going to say this just for 1 second. I always go back. This takes me back to Thurman Munson all the time when something like this happens to a guy who's active playing, and, people, a great number of people follow him and look up to him. I always go back to Thurman, and, I can't believe it's been so many years since that happened. And August 2nd always affects me the same way. It's funny. When I was 19 years old, still affects me now at 66 the same way. So it's interesting how that happens in the world of sports. But it puts life into perspective and puts the things that we'll talk about the rest of this hour in perspective as well, because there's a lot to talk about. The Knicks, our Knicks, who looked like they were dead Tuesday night in the water. I was getting ready to go to bed, and I never give up. But with 7 minutes left, even 6 minutes left, they're down 20. I'm like, they're not coming back here. This is just done. Let me get a couple minutes more sleep. And they go on a 40-11 run through the final minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime to pull that game out. And then really the game was closer, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say closer, but for the Knicks and the Cavs in game two, the Knicks, I felt dominant to me. I didn't feel the Cavs were ever going to win that game. Josh Hart comes back from a horrible game one and where he didn't even play the fourth quarter and overtime, and has a great game last night. I forgot what I was going to say now. Anyway, they played well. And more struggles for Harden, more struggles for Mitchell in a way, especially the end of game one. This has been – you couldn't ask for a better start to this series than the Knicks have had.
Yeah. Just going back to game one, Ian, we'll talk about both games here together. Yeah. There was such a buzz, such excitement. Courtside seats reportedly were going for $53,000 a seat.
I heard as much as 7,000. I heard as much as 7. Yeah.
Yeah, $53,000.
Oh, 53,000.
What did you say? 7,000?
I thought I heard 7,000. 53,000.
7,000 is cheap. Are you kidding me? Those seats would have gotten gobbled up quick.
That's cheap to a guy like you.
But. Yeah, no, I'm saying, but the point is, it's like the buzz was to the point where you want to go to the hottest Broadway show available. You can't wait to go. You hear the buzz, and then it's the flattest, most boring show imaginable. And I'm thinking in the fourth period of game one, this game's going to end with the Knicks losing badly, being completely flat, and the Garden crowd leaving deflated, and all the hopes of getting to the finals. They're going to think we might not get to the finals. We came all excited, and this was the worst possible scenario. We were awful. We had nothing, and then all of a sudden they come alive, and a scriptwriter couldn't have wrote it any better. The most dramatic turnaround. Once again, Keith, we hear percentages, 99.8% chance of losing the game. We heard that with the Patriots and Falcons.
Yes.
And maybe those odds were justified. But come on, if you have 0.2%, you're not going to come back. The odds, that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And we've seen it periodically happen over the years in sports. So I don't know that I believe those percentages. But the question was, were the Cavaliers going to be ready to play game two? My question was, were the Knicks going to be the ones who are going to have to let down? Were they going to be a little complacent? They came back, they won game one, and there's a whole different mindset if you're up 1-0 at home. All of a sudden, game two, while it's still important, it's not quite a must game. If the Knicks were down 1-0, yesterday would have been a desperate situation. It would have been a virtual must-win, game for them.
Yeah.
And the Cavs came out really well. There wasn't really a hangover the way it seemed. But Keith, you know what it comes down to at the end? We can analyze matchups. We can analyze strategies. We can analyze individual performances. You have to make shots. That's what it comes down to. And even Cleveland in the second half, they were missing a ton of foul shots even. You have to make shots.
They missed about 11, I think, when Knicks went into the bonus with Cavs went into the bonus, I guess, with 9 minutes left, and they missed 11 foul shots from that point in. That would have put them in the game, at least at one point. They lost by 16. But when they had missed 9 or 10, it was only a 10-point game. And that was the difference in the game. And the Knicks defense coming out, this was a close game in the first half, but the Knicks had a run in the third quarter that was spearheaded again by the defense. And the Knicks spurts often are spearheaded by that defense, and people overlook that. And Josh Hart, I mentioned earlier, is always a big part of that. Anobi, too, by the way, I will say, I thought he looked much more active last night than he did in game one. He looked a little tentative in game one. But the whole Knick team came out a little flat, as you said, which isn't shocking after, an 8-day layoff. So, and they got it together. And this team is just playing. They're playing as well as, and we'll talk about the Thunder and Spurs in a little bit. They're playing as well as anybody right now. Now, they're not playing the same caliber of team as either Thunder or Spurs are playing. But I like what this Knick team has done here through game 1 or game 2. Now, remember, the old adage is these series don't really start until the home team loses a game. So we got
the series started. I mean, I don't want to hear home court advantages.
I'm not saying home court advantage, but they haven't lost a game home yet.
I know a lot of people are focusing on the Knicks. I'm focusing on the Cavaliers. They are so inconsistent. Donovan Mitchell didn't really show up till the end of the game. I don't want to hear that he got 26 points or whatever. He just didn't show up. He didn't play like a star. I liked his attitude when the game was basically over and they went to the bench with a little over a minute left. He shook everyone's hand. He tried to encourage everyone. I like that attitude.
That was very good, yes.
That was a great attitude to have. Kudos to Donovan Mitchell for that. But where was he when they needed him? He's not acting like a star, you know. I mean, he's not playing like a star on a consistent basis. He's going to show up for a block of time during the game and be absolutely great. And then he's going to be missing in action a lot of the other times. Same with Jared Allen. He came out great. Jared Allen came out great. But then what happens to him? His numbers look good at the end. He disappears. Anunoby takes the ball to the basket. Jared Allen should be there to meet him. Mobley should be there to meet him. They're not. It's like they're letting the Knicks impose their will on them. And I understand Kenny Atkinson's strategy. Josh Hart had a bad game 1. Brunson had a great game 1. You're not going to let Brunson beat you. You're going to leave Josh Hart open and dare him to shoot, hoping, he misses. I get all that strategy. But Josh Hart made his shots. He was phenomenal, and great team effort by the Knicks all in all.
And Brunson recognized what was happening and, facilitated other people, as you said, too.
He did. He played like a true point guard. Brunson played like a true point guard throughout the game. And when you needed him to score points in the second half, he did.
Smart player. To your point, I've said this about Donovan Mitchell for a while. He's a fine player and he knows how to fill up the box score. But you look at the box score and you say, oh, boy, he had a pretty good game. But if you watch the game, you go, boy, I don't know where he got these points. And him and Harden had 3 assists between them last night. That can't be out of your guards. Sorry, the Knicks with 33 assists overall last night, 14 out of Brunson. They're playing at a different level right now, and there's no way the Cavs are coming back in this series.
Well, I wouldn't count Cleveland out. I mean, I like this. I picked the Knicks in 6 going into this series. Something tells me it's still going to go 6 games. There's not going to be any quitting the Cavaliers. Keep this in mind. Pistons are the number 1 seed in the East. The Cavaliers were down 2-0 to the Pistons, then down 3-1 to them, and won the series. I mean, they're resilient. The series before that, they had to go 7 games to beat Toronto. They did it. They're resilient, the Cavaliers. They are resilient. They've come off the mat before. They'll come off the mat again against the Knicks, but then they'll get knocked down for the count eventually.
I think we both said we're fans of Kenny Atkinson as a rule. We think he's a pretty good coach, but I don't understand why he's sitting with his timeouts and doesn't use them in game 1. His explanation doesn't wash with me. He says, I wanted to make sure I had timeouts if this came down to a 1-possession game. Dude, you're up 22. The whole idea is not to let it get to a 1-possession game. Use your timeouts when your team is just stumbling through the fourth quarter. And he didn't call one timeout, I don't think, during that 30-8 run.
One thing that makes fans as knowledgeable as any coach is when to use a timeout. We can all sense it. One team is coming on, excuse me for the word, but the momentum is completely changes and it's snowballing. It's snowballing, okay? You have to know when to call for a lull in the action. It's like 2 people who have these hostilities. You have to send them to different rooms to cool off. That's what a timeout is.
True.
And Kenny Atkinson allowed the situation in game 1 to get worse and worse and worse. The Knicks are cutting into the lead. And by the time he calls a timeout and it's down to 5 points, guess what? The timeout doesn't matter as much at that point because the Knicks had like 3.5 minutes on the clock at that point. The way they cut into it. So they have plenty of time where they don't even have to chip away anymore. They just have to play solid the rest of the way. And he waited too long on the timeout, Kenny Atkinson. And, the matchup in game 1, with Brunson and Harden, I don't completely fault them because in the NBA, you got to play team defense. I know zones are outlawed, but it's about team defense. And Harden said it best after game 1 when he was criticized. Yeah, I got torched by Jalen Brunson. I'm paraphrasing. But isn't there a second line of defense to pick him up when he gets by me? Meaning Mobley, Allen, the other guys, as well. And where were they? There was one point yesterday where the Cavalier defense completely broke down on one play, and the Knicks scored.
You can play his own defense in the NBA now, by the way, for the last 20 years or so.
But a modified zone. You can't play a straight up zone.
It's not a strict zone, no, because the 3-point, the 3-second rule
you
comes
can't
into
do
play.
that. Otherwise, you can put 5 guys, to clog up around the basket.
Yeah, but Harden cannot take Brunson one-on-one. Most players in the league can't, and he stands out as the guy who fails the most because he's a guy more often than not on Brunson. So anyway, a great start for the Knicks, and they'll play again tomorrow night in Cleveland and try to make this a 3-0 lead. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. But I'm not. I mean, Knicks are going to win this series, especially up 2-0. They're not going to lose 4 or 5 to the Cavaliers. But all these thoughts of a Knicks sweep, this isn't going to be a repeat of the Philadelphia 76, series. It's just not.
Robert Butler's with us this morning. Good morning, Robert.
Hey, Robert. Good to hear from you again.
Robert from the Sports Scope Show. Check out Robert's stuff.
All the way from Tennessee.
Best dressed guy in podcasting, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, very sharp. Very sharp.
Good to have you with us, Robert. Let's move on to the West, where everybody's, your favorite team outside of the Knicks is playing. A big, huge game, actually, out of Wemby in game 1, obviously. What was he, 40 and 31? I mean, just crazy. Wilt Chamberlain numbers, just out of control. And still, with him throwing that great game out there, the Thunder are still in position to win that game at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Spurs seem to be controlling the lead. Controlling the game with this small lead throughout the. The Thunder could have actually pulled it out at the end.
Yep.
I think the story of that series, Keith, is more than Wemby and more than OKC's ability to stop them, exploit them, and do their thing. I think the story is the guys who aren't playing or might not be playing to a degree. I mean, Jay Williams for, the Thunder. I mean, he did play, but now he's hurt. He still has the hamstring.
Be careful, Jack, because you said right here Monday, I don't want to hear about guys that aren't playing. When Williams was hurt and we talked about the Thunder potentially losing to the Spurs, you were very adamant that you got to play with the guys.
No. But you have Fox out for, their starting point guard for San Antonio out.
Mitchell.
You have Dylan Harper.
Or Williams would be the same loss. That's not a bigger loss than Williams.
Those 2 for 1.
Well,
Fox
one of them.
Harper,
right. I'm talking about the games.
Williams.
I'm talking about Fox being out the first 2 games. That's all. And Williams did play. Obviously, he may not play in game 3.
Look, OKC wasn't going to get swept. They had to win game 2. I mean, Holmgren, Hartenstein, they teamed up on Wemby. They contained them to a large degree. Wemby grabbed a lot of rebounds, didn't score a lot of points. Wemby is not going to single-handedly carry the Spurs to a victory over the Thunder. The Spurs are too good of a team. He's not going to single-handedly put that team on his back. But if his supporting cast plays well, the Spurs are going to win this series. They're the better team. And OKC is limited in what they can do. Hartenstein and Holmgren, they can show up on a given game and maybe stop Wemby from having a monster game.
This is what you said.
Like they did in game 2. But believe me, going forward in the series, Wemby's going to be causing a lot of damage unless his supporting cast isn't playing that well. Then they can put 2 guys on him and they could harass him. And I like San Antonio in those 6 here, but I also realize if it does get to a game 7, it would favor OKC if it comes down to 1 game.
I've said all through these playoffs, and I'll continue to say it after these 2 games, that the difference between the Thunder and everybody else, including the Spurs, is their depth. And they've averaged 55 points a game off the bench these first 2 games, and the bench has been remarkable. They're deeper. They can overcome injuries much better than the Spurs or anybody else in the NBA, at least today. And that's going to be the difference. As this series goes on, I think the bench is what's going to win it for OKC. OKC, they can overcome injuries and bad games. SGA didn't play a good game in game 1, and they almost won the game. So
we're going to see with game 3 tonight. I mean, I anticipate, unless Harper's out, if Harper's in, and he's just okay, I anticipate Wemby having a monster game. I mean, just go back to the Minnesota Timberwolves series and say what you want if you want to, with comparing OKC to Minnesota. You could say, oh, well, OKC's a better team. Minnesota has an extremely talented team.
They're not anywhere close to the talent that Thunder have, though. You can't compare those 2 teams. How can you compare those 2 teams? Not even close.
Yeah, well, the Thunder, the defending champions, not that they were dominant champions last year, but they're 68-win team. They are a better team than the Minnesota Timberwolves. But if you look at the Timberwolves personnel, they do have one of the better teams in the NBA. And look what San Antonio did to them when it was becoming a tough series, 2 games apiece. They turned it up a notch. The last 2 games weren't even close. They destroyed the Timberwolves. I anticipate you're going to get that scenario tonight. Wemby shows up, Spurs win by double digits. If the Thunder do win tonight, advantage to them without question.
I'm not sure. Listen, again, I think you're comparing too much the Wolves and the Thunder. They're not going to get blown out of the building. Double digits is not a blowout, right? I mean, that can get away from you in the last few seconds of a game.
They won't have any answers for Wemby if he's on the top of his game. None at all.
Even when he went off in game 1, what's his name? Holmgren had a couple of big plays at the end of that game, blocks on Wemby. He didn't stop him much of the night.
No, he destroyed Holmgren in game 1. Absolutely destroyed him.
A couple of big possessions near the end of regulation in that game. Holmgren played very well. Again, you need more than 2 possessions out of him. I get that, but he had a moment. And one thing about Wemby, and I guess I nitpick sometimes when it comes to Wemby because he's a great player, and I don't mean to ever take anything away from him. He's a great player, and he's going to get better probably. There are moments of immaturity with him that could hurt this team. There was a moment in game 1. I don't know if you remember. It was near the end of regulation, and it was a close game. The Spurs had the ball, and he just lowers his head and rams into the guy and gets an offensive foul, and they lose the ball. Didn't hurt him, but it could have. And he has these moments where he seems to just, lose his mind and does something silly. There was no reason to do what he did. Just lowered his head and shouldered a guy to the ground.
Yeah, Wemby in a way is like a big kid.
Yeah.
But I think that's good because he plays with enthusiasm and he doesn't strike me as an eye guy. He seems to get along really great with his teammates. And Wemby's ultra talented. I mean, Wemby, he'll take the big shot. He doesn't hesitate to take a 3-pointer. You leave Wemby open, He'll take the 3-pointers.
I'll give him the 3-pointer all night long.
Well, I would too, obviously, but I mean, we're going to see. Stephen Castle tends to turn the ball over a little too much for my liking for San Antonio. He's got to play a little more under control. But I'll agree with this. Wemby can play a great series, but if the other guys on the Spurs don't step up, they're not going to beat OKC because OKC is well balanced enough, too well balanced
Very
to
much
lose to just one guy. But if the rest of the Spurs team plays well, Wemby's absolutely showing up, and he's going to be the best player on the court by far. Yeah.
And I think SGA takes this series over a little bit too going forward a bit. So
SGA won't be able to drive to the basket and do his thing much with Wemby there. He just won't.
And
Caruso has played 2 great games hitting the 3-pointers and all.
Kept them in the game.
Chances are that's not going to continue that way. A player like Caruso is not going to beat you in the long run. That's the same thing as expecting Josh Hart to keep carrying the series against the Cavaliers. It's good for giving game here and there, but long term, you can't count on him being your main guy.
They'd get blown out of game 1 without Caruso, that's for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah,
in the game.
He's phenomenal.
I know that, and Rick, I know he's 22. I'm not. They're going to do immature things. My point is, he could have cost his team the game the other night with that silly offensive foul.
But they weren't going to kick him out of the game. It wasn't going to cost his team the game.
He lost possession in a very close game. It was near the end of the game. There's only a minute and a half or 2 minutes left in the game. Every possession's important at that point, and he's just lowered his head without the ball.
Yeah, but look at it this way. You can look at it 2 ways, Keith. San Antonio, OKC absolutely needed game 2 in the worst way. They made all these mistakes. They came out for game 2 as motivated as they were for any game this year because they knew this was it. We not only had to win, we have to assert ourselves, show we're the champions. And it was a single-digit victory. It was a competitive game, even though they basically controlled the game for the most part. And the Spurs never really looked like they were going to win the game. The Spurs got close. They were close late in the game. They got it down to 3 points late in the game.
Nobody's saying this team isn't good. I'm not saying this team isn't good. All these games.
Tonight is so pivotal because if OKC wins, the series does favor them. They'd be up 2-1. Even if they lost game 4, they have game 5 at home. They have kind of,
this is a 7-game series.
The series really turns. I think San Antonio is absolutely good enough if they fell behind 3-2 to win a game 6 and a game 7. But if San Antonio lost both at home, then OKC is going to win this series, even though San Antonio might battle back. I think OKC is too good to lose 3 in a row, even if Wemby comes up with super performances. So tonight's pivotal. I look for San Antonio to win by double digits tonight.
They'll win one of these next 2 games. This game will go back to Oklahoma City 2-2. It's just going 7 games.
If Harper is out, Dylan Harper, it's a problem. It's a problem because him and Fox, 2 of your starters out, it's a problem. But, if Williams is out, it cushions the blow, obviously. Williams' hamstring, he re-injured it. I don't like that.
He did. The
guy re-injures it. That is bad.
Yeah, I think he's 50-50 for tonight, if I remember what I saw earlier. So he could sit out. But again,
he'll have limited effectiveness.
This is why why I like the Thunder the way I do, because they have the ability to overcome these injuries. The team like the Spurs, maybe not, because you can't replace 2 guys like Fox and Harper. And Wemby's got to carry up much more of the load. Right?
Wemby, if there's a such thing as Superman in the NBA, it's Wemby. Look, we saw LeBron carry the load for years, pick up the slack. He took overmatched Cleveland Cavalier teams and he took them to the finals of the NBA Finals, the conference finals. They were overmatched outside of LeBron.
They were, and eventually that got exposed until he had wingmen, right? I mean, he didn't win until he had Dwayne Wade.
I mean, got to the finals.
I know. Yeah, I know. And it was a good. He played great. No, listen, LeBron's a great player. Wemby's a great player. I just don't think he can win this if he doesn't get Fox back. And he's got that high ankle sprain, which is not like you come back from that in a day or two.
You know what's fun? You know what's weird, funny? I heard someone talking. It may have been Kendrick Perkins or someone else just watching talk on the NBA. He said, imagine Michael Jordan had a high ankle sprain. You're not keeping him out of the lineup. Are you kidding? He tells the coach, I'm playing. But I don't like to question injuries because only the player knows how he's feeling. If he's totally ineffective or there's a serious risk of injuring it more, I leave it up to the player's judgment, but I'd have to assume Fox is enough of a competitor. If he could go, he would.
High ankle sprain is like one of the worst injuries you can get because you're better off breaking your ankle sometimes than getting a high ankle sprain because they last forever. I haven't had one in 40 years, but I remember having it, and it lingers forever. So it's going to be tough for Fox to at least he'll come back, I think, at some point here. How much he can contribute is going to be up for debate, I think. So anyway, they play tonight, important game 3 Jack mentioned.
Who are you picking tonight, Keith?
I'm going to take OKC tonight. I think it'll be 2-2 going back. So I think, by the time we come back on Monday, I think they will have split the next 2 games.
I like San Antonio by double digits tonight.
Yeah. Do you like them to come back ahead 3-1 or?
I like San Antonio in 6 games. I can see a scenario where, the Thunder win game 4, and then San Antonio wins game 5 in OKC, and then wraps it up in game 6. But this is it for the Thunder. More is at stake for the Thunder. Let me just say this, okay? Because San Antonio is coming up as a team of the future, and this is the year for the Thunder to win a championship. It's going to be a lot harder next year. A lot harder.
Yeah, it'll get harder.
San Antonio is going to be a year better, and they're coming.
You keep just dismissing the future of the Thunder. I mean, there's no old guys on that team. I mean, again, you got to keep that team together, and it's hard to keep that deep a team together, obviously, because guys become free agents and move on. But
okay, let's see what happens tonight. I mean,
they're not going
tonight
away.
will change the equation. Thunder wins tonight. They have a handle on the series. Let's see if they can do it.
That's fair enough. Quick note, too, I didn't mention this before, but Cooper Flagg and Knippel lead the all-rookie team in the NBA. No surprise there.
What a surprise. Teammates at Duke. Who should have gotten the Rookie of the Year, you think?
I think Cooper, but I'm really surprised at Knippel and how well he played in his rookie year because he was pretty close to Cooper. That we're even having that conversation.
Well, in NBA, the Mavs are moving on from Jason Kidd. They basically fired him.
Great point.
Jason Kidd has been in demand as a head coach. I just don't see the big deal about Jason Kidd. Is he a good coach? Yeah, sure. He's a good coach, but nothing special. I mean, getting Jason Kidd as a coach, he's not a game changer per se. I give him a lot of credit for Cooper Flagg's development. I do. Now, would Flagg have developed the same way as another coach? Probably, but we don't know for sure. Okay.
I get it. Jason Kidd is not, Phil Jackson. I get that as a coach, right? But how do you sign him to a big extension? Now you're on the hook. You got to pay him $40 million a year. Yeah. They should have just let him go to the Knicks when the Knicks wanted him, is what they should have done.
No, because they have a new GM and they turned a new leaf.
You should have thought about
that. From Toronto, what's his name, Yuri? He wants to have his own guy. I understand that. So they gave him full authority. If I'm the owner, I'm saying I signed this guy for 4 more years. I am not going to, let you fire this guy. I'm not paying him for 4 years to sit on his butt. And if I'm Jason Kidd, do I really want to grind to the NBA? Do I love it so much
I
that
don't
I
need
want
to.
to coach elsewhere? He will get a coaching job elsewhere ultimately. Brooklyn may have seemed like the perfect landing spot, but they signed their coach to an extension, so he's not going to Brooklyn.
He's been there, right?
Yeah, but the point is this: there are teams out there, where he's going to get a job somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay,
but he
somewhere.
can sort of
But
wait.
if you can get paid $40 million, $10 million a year the next 4 years, why would you necessarily want to coach? Maybe you want the easy life, relax,
Well,
do nothing.
I wish
Okay.
me
And
40
and it always makes me think what Jimmy Johnson, the football coach, says. Once you have a taste of the good life, or Bill Parcells said it about Bill Belichick. If Bill saw, there's things besides football, you could just relax and live the good life, you might not want to go back. But some people are lifers. Jason Kidd, is he a lifer in the NBA? He doesn't strike me as such. But, you never know. You never know. He'll be in demand. That's for sure. But I just don't see him as being such an elite coach that, teams are going to jump over one another. Oh, we got to get Jason Kidd. Now, I know he relates well to players. He's a decent coach. I don't mean to undermine him, Keith. He's a decent coach. I just don't see him being a Rick Pitino game changer type.
No, I agree. He's not going to take a team from 20 wins to 50, I don't think.
Pitino, I'm talking about college as being a game changer. Pitino wasn't a game changer in the NBA.
And real quick, Reggie Wemby was Rookie of the Year last year. Remember, this is his second year, and he's already looking at MVPs instead of Rookie of the Year. Great player. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's move to the NFL because there's a couple of.
I thought NHL you were going to move too quickly.
What's that?
I thought you were moving to NHL.
No. Oh, I do want to get to the NHL. We'll talk about NHL right now. Actually, good point. Both conference finals off to start, and both underdogs win game one. The Canadians in kind of easy fashion, 6-2 over the Canes. Maybe sitting around hurt the Canes a little bit as well. It feels like they've been sitting around for like 2 weeks, but. And the Canadians come off a really tough series with the Sabres, and maybe momentum carried over there too. So we got Jack to say the word actually today in the show. Danny, you missed it.
He misuses it. Danny misuses it. Doesn't understand the meaning of the word. It doesn't exist.
You use everything that would describe momentum. You say, but you just don't say momentum. That's all. So anyway. Both of these teams, people have talked about it's a foregone conclusion that the Avs are going to play the Hurricanes in the finals, and I don't think we should dismiss either the Canadians or the Golden Knights in these semifinals. Tortorella's done a great job in getting the Vegas on track when he came in with like 8 games left in the season, and they pretty much played good hockey through the playoffs. Obviously, they're in the conference finals here. He's Tortorella because he's got his team. He got fined $100,000 for not letting his team talk to the press. So he's still doing his John Tortorella things. And the Canadians, I know Danny gets on me for saying they're a big story, but they are. The NHL's better for the Canadians being relevant. I didn't say they have to win. They're relevant. That's good for hockey. It's fun to watch these series.
I mean, certainly a more recognizable franchise than the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes, powerhouse team. I mean, during the regular season, their record was so much better than the Montreal Canadiens. Last night, I kept flipping the channels, and the Canadiens, an avalanche of goals early.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like halfway through the first period, 4 goals. I mean, it's like Carolina got hit, no pun intended. They got hit by a hurricane, yesterday with Montreal. They came back a little. They made it 4-2. And then it just couldn't close the gap. I mean, something with the Hurricanes. Were they a little overconfident? this Canadian team finds a way to win. I mean, like even early in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they win a decisive game 7, only having 9 shots on goal that game, and they managed to win a game 2-1 that way. I mean, they find ways to beat you, the Canadians.
They do. And, the Hurricanes, again, they might have been affected a little bit by the layoff. We'll see what happens in game 2. Big win for the Canadians on the road, though. So the inevitable Avs-Hurricanes matchup has to be put on hold for a little bit until we see what happens here in this. Let's see what happens in game 2 of both of these.
This is hockey. Nothing's inevitable in hockey. It's just not.
Yeah.
I mean, but wouldn't it be something if Vegas played the Canadians in the Cup final?
It's not out of the realm of possibility, obviously. And Danny's got a great point. Carolina look a lot like the Knicks did, except they didn't bounce back in the third period, let's say. So they probably weren't going to.
Their defense just was sloppy, in the beginning. Even though you could put it on the goalie, their defense seemed to have breakdowns early in the game.
It was terrible. And I think you get tonight. I think you do get game 2 of the Avs and the Golden Knights tonight, I believe. So check that out, and we'll talk more about these series again on Monday as well.
But sometimes you wonder, Keith, with the crossover sports fan, you're putting these games, the semifinals, basically, of the NBA and NHL against one another.
It'd be very hard not to, though.
It'd be hard. I mean, one game might begin an hour earlier than the other. I get all that. Yeah. They tried to stagnate the times, but it's difficult. If you're a sports fan, you want to watch the hockey game. Also, we're a little more. The majority of us like the NBA more than we like hockey. We still like hockey, but we like the NBA more. So if you have a chance, to watch tonight, Las Vegas or the San Antonio OKC game, I mean, chances are you're going to watch the NBA game. I mean, you can relate to it more. You're watching Wemby perform. He's worth the price of admission himself, regardless of the teams.
I agree.
Him on the court, and
the only way to avoid that, though, is to stagger the games more. And then I don't like, and then I think the NBA's got it right, because for years, we wouldn't be getting games every other night in these series. They would space them out further, and we probably will get that in the finals, or maybe even at the end of the series. I haven't looked all the way out. I hate it when they start putting 3 days in between games sometimes, and that's the only way you could get the hockey and the basketball separated.
I kind of wonder if they started a game in hockey at 5:30 Eastern time, so it would end about during the time San Antonio and OKC was starting, whether that would help. But I guess they, that all these sports have a block of fans who are gonna, watch one sport over the other. The hardcore hockey fans obviously go to watch hockey.
And I'm watching the baseball too, Danny. I got the Yankees on my iPad on my lap, and the Knicks on the big screen, and I'll probably have it reversed when it's the.
I am, but I can't watch the Yankees with the Knicks playing at that moment. I'll tune in during the commercials, and I'll have a hard time. I mean, I'm tuning to the Yankee games, especially they're playing Toronto yesterday towards the end of the game, but you can't tune away from the Knicks game for long. I mean, the Knicks have hit a part in the season where it's pure magic right now. Every game is must viewing.
I decided they're winning the NBA championship when Shamat's three-pointer bounced all the way up in the air and back down through the hoop late in game 1. So destiny is on our side. I'm convinced.
Well, let me just, I made this comment before very quickly. Assuming the Knicks win this series against Cleveland, and they ultimately will, they have a better chance of beating San Antonio than they do OKC because of the reasons you said. It's a question of styles. OKC is extremely deep. The Knicks do not match up well against OKC. They match up better against San Antonio. They have certain ways they can counter Wemby. Mitchell Robinson can give Wemby a lot of trouble. Karl Anthony Towns shooting from the outside. So that Knicks have a genuine shot at beating San Antonio, decent chance if it got to that point. I don't think they would, but I'd like their chances more than I would against OKC.
And Danny says I gave the Knicks a kiss of death, but that's okay. I'm trying to break my own streak as well, so we'll continue to battle with the Knicks. Let's pivot to some football news. I don't know if I guess shocking in a way extensions in my mind. Joe Shine gets an extension with the Giants, which is a little bit of a surprise. He still had a couple years on his existing contract, I believe, and he's gone from wondering if he's going to keep his job when they hired John Harbaugh, because he's the guy with the power, we believe, and I don't think there's any reason to think that's still not the case. But Shine and him must have worked well throughout free agency and the draft and done the things and been on the same page. And I don't think this changes the dynamic in the Knicks the Giants organization. I think Harbaugh still reports to the owner, and Joe Shine kind of reports to John Harbaugh. But they obviously must work together and development for the Giants this week.
I think things have changed a bit. I really do. Because if Harbaugh right now went directly to the ownership, they would just ask him, have you talked to Joe? Meaning Joe Shine. And Harbaugh say, no, I'd rather go right to you. And they just signed Shine to an extension. So Giant ownership would be honorable enough that they would deal with Harbaugh directly, but there'd be hurt feelings. Shine's feelings would be hurt because now he feels he has a good relationship with Harbaugh, obviously, and ownership feels the same way. Ownership wants Harbaugh and Shine to be buddy-buddy, get on the same page, work closely together. But you want to know something? Maybe that's the case because chances are Harbaugh's been very impressed with the work Shine has done. And he's leaned on them. He's used them as a major resource. They've sat down. They've talked about things. Shine says they haven't always agreed, but so and so. I kind of wonder with the draft. Was it a power struggle or not? When they made their draft selections, was it a question of Harbaugh getting his guy? Shine and not quite getting the guy Shine wanted, or maybe was it Harbaugh saying to Shine, okay, I'll give in to you. You really think this is the case? We'll go this way. Because I didn't understand they had a chance to get Caleb Downs, the safety. Isn't he Harbaugh's type of player?
He
Who would
is.
replicate what they had with the Ravens? So I kind of wondered about that. Not that it was a bad selection. You want to protect Jackson Dart, but was that a case of Shine maybe convincing Harbaugh, talking to him, saying, John, I really think we need this guy to protect Jackson Dart, and Harbaugh's thinking, okay, I'll give it to you, Joe.
I think it's quite possible, but I do think that at the end of the day, I wouldn't use it wasn't necessarily a power struggle, because if it was a real power struggle, this extension wouldn't have happened. Harbaugh would have found a way to get him out. Right. Shine would have left. So if
it was that, there's no power struggle. They obviously work well together. Yeah. But there's probably going to get to a point. Where they're both going to want something exactly different. And Shine with this extension might feel emboldened, and to ownership's way of thinking, well, he's the GM. And it comes down to winning. Look, if John Harbaugh goes 5-12 this season, he's not going to get fired. We know that. He is not going to get fired after 1 year. They're not even going to consider that because they're in it for more than 1 year. But he is going to lose a certain amount of power.
Not after one season.
It came down to this.
I don't think after one season. If he throws up back-to-back 5-12s, he'll start to lose.
Yeah, then it maybe changes things. But look, right now there's harmony. They're working well together, and it's we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but it seems like Harbaugh has a lot of faith in Joe Shine. He a lot of faith,
so.
and chances are they sit down, and the two of them are maybe getting along really great, working together great. And Joe Shine knows Harpo's there. He can't fire him. He's not his boss per se.
Right.
But listen, it's nice that they worked it out. It's nice that they worked it out. And if there's true harmony between the two of them, and it appears that would be the case right now, that's only a good thing for the Giants.
Well, I think it's important that they work together and can be cohesive, because at the top with John Mara, I'm not sure where his health status is right now. I mean, he's the ultimate guy, but he's had some health issues the last year and a half or so, and we don't know what his situation is. So those two guys need to be on the same page, because there may not be a guy to referee. So,
Well, they haven't been fighting. I mean, Harpo brought in someone from Baltimore. Brought in someone from Baltimore to help. Yep. But look, Joe Shine's a hard worker. He did tremendous due diligence on college players for the draft. He had a head start on Harpo for that.
Yep.
And Harpo obviously respects his work. And look, it's great. Listen, so far there seems harmony. There doesn't seem to be any cracks at all. They work well together. Maybe their personalities, mesh perfectly. Who knows? So possible. Good for them. Good for them.
The other bit of news out of the NFL yesterday was Matthew Stafford signing a 1-year extension for $55 million, could be as much as 60. So for the next 2 years, and again, he's still playing at the top of his game, but he's getting up there in age. And they took a quarterback with the 14th pick, 13th pick. And to me, this makes this pick look even worse now, because
no, it doesn't.
Hold on. Let me finish. Then you can shoot me down. They've wrapped up now $105 million a year the next 2 years. So Stafford's the quarterback, no matter what, unless something drastic happens. They did nothing to help him the next 2 years. Nothing to help Matthew Stafford get over the top in the NFC. And they're right at the doorstep. They were last year. They did nothing to get better. And at least with their first round draft pick, right? And I think that's nuts. He's not going to play for at least 2 more years. I don't see how it helps. Now go ahead and tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, the point is this: when Ty Simpson was drafted, you knew Stafford was the quarterback next year. The Rams knew they had to do something to make Stafford happy. They had to extend him. I'm surprised the extension was only for 1 year, that Stafford didn't insist on an extra year, 2 years to be extended. But then again,
I thought I heard 2 in the beginning, actually, but I saw 1.
No, he's under contract next year, and they extended him 1 year.
Yeah.
And they made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL for next season. Okay? So it's a way, it sends a message that Stafford should have no immediate concern about Ty Simpson. He shouldn't anyway, per se, based on performance. But let's be honest, when you draft a guy in the first round, number 13 overall, the clock starts ticking on the starting quarterback. It starts ticking.
Again,
sometimes you can hold off the guy they drafted. You can hold him off as much as 3 years, as Favre did with Rodgers and Rodgers did with Love. I get that. But the clock is ticking. You can't look the moment. Yeah, you're looking over your shoulder all along. It even happened. Look, it even happened with the San Diego Chargers. They moved on from Drew Brees because they had drafted Phillip Rivers. It happens.
See, this team didn't win last year, though, Danny. This is my point. Listen, I'm not saying you don't find a potential replacement for your 40-year-old quarterback. I get it. But to use the 14th pick in the draft and not make yourself any better, I'm sorry, I keep saying 14th. 13th pick in the draft and not make yourself any better for the next 2 years with your 40-year-old quarterback. You didn't get to the Super Bowl. You didn't win the Super Bowl last year. You need something to get over the top. And they did nothing to help him. So, I mean, I understand some of the thought process, but
they obviously feel
I don't get it.
Ty Simpson is going to be a really good NFL quarterback. They obviously feel out the Rams hierarchy, but I kind of wonder. The Rams GM is friends with Simpson's dad, so maybe he's overreaching a little with Ty Simpson, and especially with the quarterbacks next year that are coming out. But then again, I understand at least the Rams' logic. They were picking number 13 this year. Next for the next draft, they're not going to be picking nearly as high because they're projected to have a pretty good team. So let's say they're picking, I'm just throwing a number, let's double it, number 26. A Ty Simpson type isn't going to be available for them at that number. They could still maybe draft a quarterback, but you're taking more of a flyer on someone.
He's not
they extended Stafford a year. The message is clear. Stafford is absolutely the starting quarterback the next 2 years, and Simpson sits the next 2 years, case closed. If they didn't sign him to the extension, all the Rams are going to be hearing about, and all the talk we're going to be hearing about, is when Simpson is going to be playing, that this is Stafford's last year on the contract. We're not hearing that now. But like I said, I kind of wonder if I was Stafford, why didn't you add 2 years? Meaning the next 3 years, you're
I'm a little surprised.
Quarterback. But then again, maybe Stafford's thinking, I might only want to play a year 2 more. I'm not sure.
But he could have given himself an option, a player's option or a mutual option on a contract. He could have got that. So I don't know. And again, we everybody that disagrees with me seems to talk about Ty Simpson like he's a slam dunk to be the next great quarterback. There's no reason to think that's 100% or even a 75% certainty. Hopefully he is for the Rams' sake, because otherwise this is a wasted draft pick.
Ty Simpson was a franchise quarterback. Don't you think the Jets at number 2 would have taken him? Or if not at number 2, they were going number 16. They would have moved down some slots, traded the number 16 pick and maybe number 33, and that they had second round to move up a few slots and grab Simpson to add him on to David Bailey. They absolutely would have. They don't view him, and I don't think for the other teams quite viewed him as a franchise quarterback. The same way with Arizona. They decided to go with Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame, instead of Simpson.
They weren't going to take him at 3.
They badly need a franchise quarterback. Arizona and the Jets badly need franchise quarterbacks in the worst way, but they're electing to wait until the next draft. But then again, wait. I stand to be corrected. The Cardinals did take a fly on Carson Beck early in the 3rd round, and maybe that was their strategy. Beck might work out as their franchise quarterback, and the Jets taking Cade Klubenik, they took a flyer on him. You never know. I don't think anything's going to come of it, but it's possible. They may have caught lightning in a bottle. Who knows?
Tom Brady didn't get drafted with a 13th pick in the draft. He got picked in the 199th. So that's a big difference. I wouldn't be saying a word about Ty Simpson getting picked 199th. I can't compare those two things, Danny. And we'll get into some Super Bowl picks in the weeks to come. I can't.
Yeah.
You know what? The Rams will be in play. The Rams will be in play. And that's my biggest argument about not taking Ty Simpson.
Contend for sure. Oh, that's a serious contender.
Yeah, and Ty Simpson doesn't make him any better a contender. So that's my argument right there. It stays. And Danny, I saw your note before. We did mention Kyle Busch earlier in the show, and it's a very sad situation there for sure. No time to really talk about baseball. I'll just say Garrett Cole's back tonight. I'm sure he's on a very strict pitch count for the foreseeable future. But that'll give the Yankees a boost a little bit. Unfortunately, he doesn't hit, so that doesn't help them a whole lot with the offense. But
Keith, you're Johnny come lately. They don't hit for a couple of games, and you
have to score runs to win games. You'd have to score runs to win games. You can't get shut out. And
they're fine. Yankees have the 5th best record in baseball right now. They will catch the Rays before the season is over. Rays aren't built to stay ahead of the Yankees the whole year. Yankees will catch him at some point, even if it's as late as August.
I'm not a rose-colored glasses fan. I'm always looking for to get better and the things that the team can do to get better. I don't just go, everything's fine. Don't worry. We got the 5th best record in baseball. We don't need to worry about anything. You need to worry about things. So. A lot of teams passed on Brady. Again, I'm not sure where the comparison comes in because Brady was a 6th round draft pick, not a 1st round pick. Anyway, I will give you we'll have the baseball update later and we'll talk some more baseball. We didn't have time today, but we will. Jack, anything in boxing? We're a little bit over. Sorry.
Tomorrow night, Alexander Usyk fights a kickboxer, so I don't kind of want to dignify it. Usyk is the world heavyweight champion, and the sanctioning bodies at least say, well, if Usyk wins, they'll count it as a title defense. If he loses, they won't. They'll regard it like a non-title fight. And what can I say? But Usyk is entitled to have a breather. He's after beating Daniel Dubois twice, Anthony Joshua twice, Tyson Fury twice. He's entitled to have what's known as a laugher. Okay.
Is this like when Ali fought that guy in Japan?
No, because this is going to be a legitimate boxing match. Ali against Antonio Inoki back in 75, 76. It was a mixed match in a way. Inoki kept kicking at Ali's legs. Yeah. That was the farce of all farces. Ali had blood clots in his legs.
I remember. Yeah,
it was a serious thing. It's terrible. On the undercard, Chuck Wepner fought Andre the Giant. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that. I didn't know that.
Andre the Giant threw Chuck out of the ring. It was a Rocky later Stallone.
I remember.
He replicated that with Thunderlips and being thrown out of the ring. Stallone copied Wepner a tremendous amount. I could go over it sometime. He really did.
We should talk. That should be one of our shows when we're looking to, do something to fill in when one of us is not available. Maybe a tall show about Rocky and Chuck Wepner because there's a lot there to unpack. So anyway, that's all we got. Check out.
I think Wepner maybe on the podcast to talk about this stuff.
Can he talk yet? I mean, geez.
Yeah, he's okay. He's okay. He's had some issues, but he seems to be good.
I saw a great documentary. It might have been on 30 for 30, The Real Rocky, I think was the name of it. It was really, really good. But we'll check him out. Check out Jack tomorrow morning on the debate show with James and Brian, and I'll be back Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness and this afternoon with the MLB update. So guys, have a great Friday, great Memorial Day weekend. And remember, please, why we celebrate this weekend, because it's important. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, guys.